Misha Marx here and Grzegorz Kosinski.
Hello.
With Mission Bass Live, where we put bass into the spotlight. Yeah, 7 strings, it's still a bass. So, as always, we're going to play some solo bass songs. We're going to answer your questions about techniques, equipment, and everything. We're going to have a little bass strings giveaway. And if you have questions right now, you can already post them in the little question mark box. Should be on the bottom of your screen if you use the app, or if you use the browser, should be on the right hand side. Just click on that, put your question there so we can definitely find it and will not miss it, and it will be answered. Other than that, if you're watching on Twitch, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, come on, pop over to Crowdcast to ask your questions. Other than that, just enjoy and stay on the platform of your choice. I'm sure it'll be just as great. Alright guys, so shall we get started?
Obviously, right.
I'm gonna say a little bit about Gregor. Usually my guests are not in the studio with me, but thankfully Gregor lives in Venlo, Netherlands, not too far from here, so he thought it would be a good idea to just come here and we can even have a little jam later.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so it will work, yeah.
We'll definitely have a jam. How it turns out, we will have to see.
Mm-hmm.
However, Gregor has been doing the solo bass thing, I think, longer than me even. He's been on YouTube quite early, and if you ask me, he is 10 times better than me if it comes just to technical facilities and the stuff he plays.
So you're very humble, man.
And yeah, man, I think it's a shame that not more people know you. That you need to have a 9-to-5 job, which can have positive sides too. I'm not saying it's all negative.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that comes by choice. But yeah, so much skill, and we need to put bass on the spotlight. I think that will help.
I hope so, yeah. We have to check how it will be, because I'm not often perform live, so it's also a trial for me.
Yeah.
It's just, as we spoke before, it's something different when you play for YouTube video, when you can record as many times as you want, than when you're gonna play live, as we do right now. So it's something absolutely different, and but we're gonna find it out.
I have that same effect with students in my lesson very often. I think it's a general thing that we all do when we learn something new. Like, for example, to slap, and then they do it like 20 times, and the 20th time they finally get it. It's like, yeah, I can do it. Okay, great. Pack the bass away, off they go. And then next week they come and they can't do it because they did it 19 times wrong. So what did the brain really train?
Mm-hmm.
It trained 19 times to do it wrong and only 1 time to do it right. So it's an illusion that you can do it. And that's kind of the same thing that happens when we go into the recording studio. If we record on YouTube, all you guys think that our performances are like that every time we push the record button. Well, the truth is far from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess one of the nice things about this show is that we are letting you in. We're being vulnerable and letting you push the record button and see what happens on the first take.
Alright.
Now we proper built up the pressure for you to perform, huh?
Okay,
Well,
I will try. I'll try to do my best, and
I
we will
think you
see
do a great
how it will
job.
find out. Okay, so there will be 3 songs for the beginning, 3 songs of mine, and yeah.
Okay, I'll leave the stage to you. Here we go. Grzegorz Kosinski on Mission Bass Live. Here we go. First of all, wow and thank you. We're gonna get back to this because this is gonna be. We can probably go quite deep into this. I can tell by your composition that you're listening to a lot of classical music, or at least have had.
I grew up with, as a musician, I grew up with classical music, but also with metal music. So there can be
very
some.
similar. There are a lot of parallels. There.
Many people used to say it, and actually that's right in my opinion. That there are many things that also metal music bases on the classical one, and you can just feel it.
But what I found most evident has actually is one of the things where metal usually is not the same as classical, and that's the development of the arrangement. You don't have these in classical music. You don't have these parts and riffs just chuck onto each other. It's a theme that develops somewhere. It goes somewhere, and then another part starts, and that develops somewhere else. Maybe it goes back in the end to where it started, but it's so far away from this normal verse, solo, chorus structure where you always know. Once you heard the first minute of the song, you basically know the whole song. It's like, okay, I don't know what happens in the bridge, but I actually can imagine. Probably the drums are going to drop out. There's going to be some pads in the background, and the singer's just going to whisper instead of scream, and then...
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, the songs that are not like the refrain, solo part, refrain, intro, outro, when they are built a different way, like it's kind of story, from A to Z, it's something different riffs, different chords. It's, in my opinion, better than better. Obviously, what does mean better? If you have all the songs like this, it also will be not good. But
exactly.
If you play solo instrument, it would be a little bit too boring, in my opinion. If you will, some motif will play many times the same. So we have to make it more different.
No, it's exactly one of the biggest challenges that I ran into playing solo bass and writing more than 3 songs, because the first 3 songs are really easy. You've got enough skills to show off and just be done with them. But then after that, not repeating yourself after these 3 songs becomes really, really challenging. And that's where listening to classical music, I guess, gives you actually quite an advantage, because you're more used to song structures that are don't have these tiny little repetitive patterns popped one after the other. Let's go into this a little bit deeper later on. I want to talk to you about general what your approach is to songwriting and to arranging cover versions, which I think today you're not going to play any cover versions.
Nope.
But there's plenty of them on YouTube, so don't be shy. I'm going to let you play your second song.
All right. The second song will be very short, so I propose to play 2 of them.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's do that.
So they are somehow connected, and in coming album it will be also something like the intro and the second first song.
Nice.
So
Just one last question. You haven't really mentioned the title of the first song yet, neither of the second or the third. What are your songs about? Do you, because I remember from my old metal days, it was always like you write a song and then you just take any title, it's like bang the wall, okay, done, we've got a song
it's
title.
difficult to say what the song is about if you don't have lyrics, you know.
Exactly.
If you
That's why I'm reading these titles here.
So I will tell you the secret of the topics of the not topics but the names of the songs. It's just they reminds me something, so I name them like this. But it's just it's not the ultimate titles. It's just for now. But some of the thing reminds me, let's just say something in the nature, so I call it like this. But it's nothing deeper. I don't want to say that there is something pathetic hidden inside.
Can I say the first title of the first song?
Yeah, but it's not the full one.
Huh?
It's just a one word. It's not the full title.
Oh, okay. I think it already makes sense.
All right.
To be really honest.
Okay.
Because right here on the set list it says water.
Water nymph is a full name. So water nymph. Do you know what the water nymph is? It's in Slavian mythology.
Is it kind of like a siren?
Exactly, but lives in the forest. And
okay. Yeah. No, because I was obviously because of the tapping sound right away. Just seeing water and hearing the tapping reminded of rain. So to me, even this has this kind of rainy percussive sound. So I thought maybe.
Yeah.
But that's the nice thing about not having lyrics. You get to make your own interpretation. All right, I'll lead you to it.
Okay.
Next one.
My fingers just start to play as it should, because in the beginning it's without exercising, it's cold hands. So it's very important before you play bass solo to make your fingers warmer and.
You know what? To be really honest, I always fail to do that. Although I have loads of injuries and problems with my fingers, somehow never couldn't get myself to really stretch and warm up my fingers before a show. But I did come up with another solution. And usually I structure my playlist so that the first 2 songs that I play are easygoing. Exactly, so that's just my warm-up, is then the first 2 songs. And maybe even one with a loop station where I can jam for a little bit.
That's some kind of solution from the one hand, but from the other, if you start a show and you start with a ballad, it doesn't matter if you are a rock and roll band or if you are a soloist, then there is no energy just for entrance. In my opinion, for the entrance, then has to be boom, bang, and later can be a little bit. Can be different, but in my opinion, so not always can you choose which song is more calm than the other, and so the fingers has to be. It's the same like the, for example, classical vocalist comes. They sing 1 hour before to make their instrument ready to play. So
And do you always play without your strap when you sit down?
When I stand, I do use it, but in this case, when I sit, I do not use it because I don't need it. It only disturbs me. The more that when I hold the guitar, it's very, as you see, I keep the guitar like a classical guitarist, so not like this, as many rock and rollers does, because I don't have as good control with that hand. As I keep it like that one. In this case, then it's very staying here on the leg, on the breast, on the chest, and also with a hand in here. So the guitar I play, as you saw, mostly on the frets between 12 and 24th. The solos, bass is obviously 2, but this hand can have under control everything in here, and it keeps like this. So I don't prefer to have a belt during playing when I'm sitting. But what is also very important, not many solo bass players, at least solo multi-string bass players does. It's very important of your seat, as we spoke before. The audience don't know it, obviously. That it's very important how you put your legs there. Leg can be too low, can be too high. Have to be perfect.
Because there's 2 things that can happen in both extremes. If you have it too low, I think it's less than a problem, especially if you're wearing a strap, so it can't slide off. But that's the main problem you're going to have, that it doesn't sit stable in one position, and maybe if you move a little bit, it's going to slide down your thigh. If you have it too high, at least from an injury preventive perspective, that is way worse. Because the moment your knees are higher than your bottom, it's way more likely that you tilt your vertebrae down here in the hip, and that gets you into that typical computer front of screen position, arched back, and then your fingers are blocked. So you really have to make sure, and that's the easiest if you have both feet on the floor.
Agree, absolutely.
And not so much weight just on your bum, because the moment you lift your knees up higher than your buttocks, then all your weight is going to be here.
Absolutely agree. But also when I do play with a rock band, then when I'm standing, that obviously I have a belt, but I know that it looks very nice, very rock and roll to have a bass on the knee high.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you play something more than 3 accords, then not as a jazzman in here, as well, but you have to, in my opinion, that the most important thing is to have always guitar under control. Otherwise, it will make you, surprises during a show that you don't want.
I've actually, on this strap, I have 2 strap lengths, and it's maybe 3 centimeters more. It's
I have
up to nothing, but it makes such a big difference.
I have
And
8, believe me or not, but I have 8 of them, 8 strap locks.
Oh wow!
On the belt.
And you use
depends.
all the positions.
Yeah, but it depends what kind of song do I play during a show.
Yeah.
And yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so funny. It's the 15th show, and still I learn different inputs on how to hold your instrument and why you do it, especially because we often agree a lot on about how you have to do it, what is the most efficient way, but why you do it. Often there's many reasons that we don't even consider.
Some of you may say that it's not very important that we met in here to play the bass, but such details about playing the bass guitar as a solo instrument, or not solo, doesn't matter, can save you many hours, many time, many moments with instrument that we have learned in years of playing, years of practicing. If you will take as a habit some things from the very beginning, you can save many times and practice better, practice more profitable. I would say. So it's very important. The stool, many things are very important. Even as we spoke before, even the food that you eat, it can be very important. How you play, how you sleep, and so on. So it's not just a stupid talking about a stool, but it's very important. Each piano player will tell you the same.
And I mean, if we simplify this even more, we've been talking about how food changes how well you can play the bass, or sleeping habits. I would even go as far as saying anything you want to do better will benefit from these things. So that's always a good place to start, because one thing that we didn't actually talk about is the mental strength that you gain through a healthy body, being able to play with less effort. You just have so much less trouble in your head, and that free for creativity. I think that, for example, allowed me to arrange 12 cover songs in a year. For the last album, it took me 6 years. Of course, I had to write the songs, but if I'm really honest, they were my songs. I could have just said after the first version, it's done, it's ready, I'm going to release this now. I finished songwriting. But it took me a long time. And this time I was way more focused. I knew exactly where to go. It was not this trial and error, let's see what happens if I do this. It was more really planning ahead. And then if you fail, it's still success, because you know, okay, this is not going to work. And so if you're just trying, and then, do I like this, or don't I like this? It's fun to play, but does it really work in the song? And then there's all these rabbit holes that one can go down. So I'm really intrigued. How do you start writing a song? Well, later we're gonna talk about arranging classical
How did I
songs.
write? You know, I always like the solo bass players. I mean solo, not even the solo bass players, but the players that did solo during the shows. You know, like my first musical god was Cliff Barton from Metallica. So he was a very innovative player, because he was playing in a great metal band, but he allowed himself to play very entertaining, nice solos during the shows. And I wanted the same, you know. I just felt from the very beginning that bass guitar is the instrument, especially for me. I don't know how it came to me. I just like it from the very beginning, since I was a child. But I don't want it to be, you know, just a bass that stands in the background and shine in the background. This function is very nice as well, obviously, right? I'm not saying not, but I just wanted something more. I wanted to make something more ambitious. But with the time of playing in a band, I just wanted to try something more. I put the thesis above myself, and this thesis was that bass guitar can be instrument that can play solo, only solo. I don't mean that as a first instrument in a band that plays the first violin, but it can be naked instrument, without drums, without loops, without nothing, just a bass guitar. Obviously, what does mean bass guitar? It can be such bass guitar that Yeah, okay, but it can be not typical bass guitar.
Yeah.
Can be as well,
Yeah.
obviously, but I chose that one. It was also some kind of uh, lucky shot that I bought that
Yeah.
guitar and I started to play it. But that was my thesis of mine, that you can make interesting material, not boring, and full material. I mean, for a whole CD album that will consist only the bass songs, and yeah, and that's what I try to prove years right now. I did not till now, but I'm very close to this moment. I hope that our show will help with it, because I keep many experience from the meeting of you, Misha,
Yeah.
as well, and so we will see how it will be later. But I feel already, in my opinion, I can already answer the question that it's possible to make this instrument as a first and the only instrument, and can be very enjoyable. The same like you can play piano with whole orchestra, with a jazz band, with a rock band, but you can be also the pianist that plays only piano. The same, in my opinion, with bass guitar. Nowadays it's not very radical thesis, but in my opinion, some 20 years ago it was not so sure.
No,
There were many
exactly.
people that said the bass guitar is just just
You're not doing it right.
yeah.
Jacko only needed 4 strings.
Yeah, not only this, but they say that the bass guitar is only has to shine at background, nothing
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, to be really honest, I think it's really important to always keep that in the background. And as Carl Klus, second guest on my show, already mentioned, is that a lot of people, especially the people that hate on solo bass because they feel like the only true bass playing is in a band, supporting the band, which is true to some degree. Because the other thing is not bass playing, it's making music with a random instrument that you picked.
good told, yeah, it's music.
It's music, let's put it this way. We don't have to call it anything else than that. It's a full piece of music, and that's also what Carl said. It was like, if you think about it, which bassist would you rather have in your band? The guy who played every single instrument on his every single voice of that song on his instrument, and found out that if he plays too much in the bass register, it's all gonna wash up and not work anymore. Or the guy who's been jamming along to a backing track, completely letting go, playing all the notes he wants, because that backing track is not really telling him not to. Well, if you're playing with 2 hands, 10 fingers max, you have a limit of how many notes you can play, and you're way more conscious of what works musically.
But if I can add something, if I have to tell something for the people that say that bass guitar is not a solo instrument, I would say if they mean that bass guitar is not a monkey instrument that you have to play, doesn't matter what, but very complicated, okay, I'm agree. Because then you have no music, you have circles. I can understand.
Exactly.
But in my opinion, you can make something on a bass guitar that is ambitious or not, doesn't matter. But it is interesting. It's just a one. It just keeps each other. And this is what I mean. Not I play whatever. It's a solo. You have to love it. I try to play music that it's good for listening. Just that, not because it's something very strange. It's a solo bass, so it must be nice. But I try to make melodies that could be as well good if you would play it with an under instrument. There was even some parts of mine that I composed for
really
piano.
like that. Let me repeat that. That was a brilliant sentence. If you compose for solo bass, Gregor said he wants it to sound as if you could also play it on another instrument. And that's, to me, the definition of making it sound musical.
I had some riffs that had been not composed for a bass guitar, but let's just say for piano or for a guitar, normal 6-string guitar, acoustic, and you can just transpose it into the bass guitar. If it works, then why not?
Exactly. So, talking about all of this, I'm going to do some shameless self-promotion now. 30th of September, put it in your calendar. My new album's going to launch. 11 tracks, and maybe there's a secret one.
Where can I buy it?
Hmm?
Where can I buy it?
On my shop, mishamarkshop.com.
I will be there.
Yeah. And you can probably get the download as well. And later on, I shall open it and release it to the streaming services. But at first, I'm just gonna keep digital downloads and CDs. But there's more coming, more info on that. Just know that for now, to warm up to the launch, I'll have a new YouTube video every Friday. So you can just pop by there, see what's up. There's always a little bit of information on the launch in the description. And yeah, other than that, just be excited, because I really love it. I listen to it almost every day. And that's a rare one if you record your own music. Usually once you're done, you can't hear it anymore. And that's why sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get it to that stage where you say, actually, even after the 1000th time of listening to it, I still enjoy it. And that is basically my, how do you say?
And this is
my aim.
And that's also what is important, that if you compose something, if you play something, first of all, you have to feel it by your own. I don't compose something that will be liked by the audience. I hope so.
Yeah.
But first of all, I need to like it by myself. Then I publish it. I spread it to the people. If you play something that you personally don't like, that doesn't work that good. So
yes,
yeah.
no, I mean,
and obviously the aim of playing bass guitar is not to conquer all the world, musical world, that everybody will love you like Freddie Mercury or somebody. It's not the aim of playing solo bass guitar, in my opinion. It's just you know, you can grab a small part of the people that loves it. You can suggest to other people that even don't know that it can be enjoyable.
What we're doing here on the show.
But it all starts that you do what you like, and later, if somebody other likes it as well, then it's your success. How big is the success? How many people will like it? But the first success is if you do something that you liked,
exactly.
like it.
No, I absolutely agree. For me, music, and that's what I teach all of my students, no matter if they're on the university or if they're first year private students. I tell them, music in the first place is a very egotistical thing. You do it 100% first for yourself. You do it so you feel good about yourself, so you have a happier life, basically. If that's passively enjoying music or actively playing music, it's both the same thing. You do it to improve your life quality. And if someone else enjoys what you do, that's a benefit. But it's not necessary to fulfill its job. So even if you're just playing on your own with your bass guitar, with your flute, whichever instrument you pick, of course bass is the best one, but you pick whatever you want. You play it in your bedroom, it still does the job of just calming you down, de-stressing you. It's, to some degrees, comparable with meditation. We're not going to go too down on this episode into all the benefits of music. I've read blog posts about it and emails. You guys probably had enough for a couple of years. But yeah, there's so many life skills that benefit from playing an instrument, and even if it's just for yourself. And obviously at some point, that's what I noticed. There is a line between I like what I play and I enjoy while I play it, and still enjoy it when I'm listening to it afterwards. Because I find it can go both ways. Sometimes it's, oh, this feels so great playing it, and then you listen to it afterwards and think, no, not really. It felt good, but if I'm just listening to it now, no, too much.
There is a music that you love to play, not love to listen. There is a music that you love to listen, not to play.
Exactly. It can be the other way around, where it feels totally wrong. I had that so many times when I was studying music, for example, where you have these first take or maybe third take chances max, where you have a little band, and okay, you guys, you go to the recording studio and you're going to record 3 songs today. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We start with the bass solo. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then what happened? It felt so bad. I completely lost the form. Thank God I had a drummer who I played with a lot, so he did a really obvious break in the end of the forms. On the one, I was there with my walking bass line, and that worked out perfectly. But the solo, when I played it, it felt so wrong and so off. And then when I later listened to the recording, I was like, it sounds virtuosic and a little bit outside, but it sounds like I planned to play it. And there's some really cool ideas in there, so it can really be either way. And that's why I like so much, to some degree, even about this show, that it's recorded and I can go back and see, oh, did that really sound like it felt when I play it? And that's also one thing I tell all my students. You are literally your best teacher yourself. If you can get yourself to film yourself while you're practicing, even if it's just for the last 1 or 2 minutes, where you just like, okay, I've practiced this now, I'm gonna perform it for 2 minutes, film it, and then watch that video and from a third perspective see, how are my fingers moving? How's the sound? How tight is my rhythm? It's a completely different game, because you listen so differently from when you're playing. You just don't have the amount of attention to see all these things.
And there is very big difference between playing live and playing during practicing, because during practicing from time to time you make still some mistake. You don't put it into the perfection because you just don't care, maybe you're not perfectionist, but later during the show you remind yourself, damn, I always play in this small place wrong. I always can't jump above it, and so it's very important. I learned it after years, really after years, to play slow, to learn slow. I do play, as you could see, all the songs with delay, with reverb, but when I'm practicing I play without. Very often I do play without electricity, just a simple bass like this. And in that way I can catch very mistakes and very much mistakes and just perfect them.
That's interesting. You're the second one now to say that. My last guest who said that, Omar Harper, he was playing acoustically a whole lot of time. I mean, he really said almost 80% of the time he plays acoustically, because he thinks that the sound comes from the wood, and if you can get a great acoustic sound, that will translate into what comes out the speaker in the end. And then there's guys like me who tell their students to never practice without an amp, because obviously it always depends on the level, and that's what Omar in the end said as well. It's probably more for advanced people to play without an amp, because the risk you run into when you play without amplification is, I can't hear myself, and then you pluck every string as if you're playing in a metal band just to hear, because you want to hear it louder. You know, and that's happened to me. We talked about this a couple of years ago. I took an online course in guitar shredding, really. I applied it to bass, but it was about learning a skill really fast. And I basically did what you said, because it was this whole regiment of 1 hour a day and really clearly what you do from minute to minute. I didn't always feel like going over to the studio, plugging my bass in and playing. I was like, well, if I just grab my bass from the stand next to my bed, I can get that first half an hour in before I even get out of bed, basically. And I did that for maybe 2 weeks, and then I plugged in the bass, and I was quite surprised that even with me, although I played bass for over 20 years, how my technique had changed. I was plucking way harder than I used to, just because I wasn't conscious of it.
In my opinion, it's very important to experiment. Not only in music, in life. If you do something that all the people does the same, then from the one hand it can bring positive solutions, positive things, but from the other, it can't block you in some natural way that you can have in yourself.
Yeah, you
What
don't
I mean
see-
by I will tell you the example. I haven't been studying music, so I have many lacks about it. To many things I had to come by myself, because nobody told me this at school, that just make it like this and it's better, and I would believe it, and I would do that. I had to just do it on my own skin. But from the other hand, many people who goes to school, they are like horses in the carriage, that they've been learned like that way.
Yeah.
And have you ever heard that in a musical academy they learn to play tapping in 7-string bass? No, because it's not because it's bad, but it's something very so atypical that they are not gonna make the whole, studies about it.
Yeah.
So you have to make experiment, and you never know what will be the solution. But if you want to make something new, you don't have, you shouldn't listen those who were till now, because all the greatest musicians in the world were better than others because they did something against what they have learned.
Yeah. I
So
really like that.
obviously it can bring, it doesn't mean that you will be genius if you will listen only your heart.
It's not a guarantee.
90% of those cases will bring you down.
Yeah.
I suppose. I don't know how many.
But I think, at least if you're strong enough and not be brought down and be sad about it not working out,
it all depends what you aim to.
it's
If
always going to be a lesson.
Yeah, if you aim to be idol, if you dream to be a great composer, you have to make something different. But if you want to be a great composer, like the composer that you already know, do what they did.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Okay, let me just check the chat. Is there any questions? Okay, there's a couple of questions. So let's start with the first question, Gregor. Did you start on cembalo?
Cembalo.
I guess someone had the direct connection with the tapping bass sound in cembalo.
No, I did not, but maybe I will consider it cembalo. No, I don't remember myself to have it in my hands. No.
Yeah, what I would like to add to that, Gregor's too humble to splurt it out, but we've just talked and I've asked him a couple of questions ahead of time. And what really impresses me, he's not only not studied music, so he's not had that leisure time, luxurious time, 4 or 5 years where you're just practicing all day, every day, everything is music that you do. So that's already a disadvantage, him compared to me, for example. But also, this guy, if you checked out any of the YouTube videos I sent you via email or posted on Facebook or on his channel, you know that he does all these classical compositions, Mozart, Bach, and Chopin, and plays them on solo bass. But he does not know how to read sheet music.
Mm-hmm.
And that blew me completely away. Because it's one thing to take a piano sheet, which already has 2 separate hands, and translate that to the bass. That's way less effort than what you do. First having to listen to it and figure out which hand's doing what.
Maybe this is a great example of what I've told before. If you will have professional musicer that can read the notes, he will say, okay, this is the left hand notes, bass notes, this is the melody, so left hand goes here, right hand goes here. But it works on a keyboard. And it doesn't mean that it has to work with a 7-string, because from time to time there is a note that you have with a bass key play on this string, on G string, but with this also here, and what? And nothing. And you don't have the 2 sounds from 1 string in the same place. So you have to transpose it. And that helped me to find it in different place, or change it, or play octave higher, octave lower. Yeah. And many people used to ask me about the tabs. Do you have tabs for this song, for this, for this? For some I do, but not because I upload it from somewhere, but because I wrote it for myself during the practicing.
So you not forget it?
It doesn't mean that I don't want to share it. But people say, I would like to play like you, but I don't have a tabs. Can you help me? Send me tabs. I can, if I have, I can tab it. I can send it, no problem. But if you really want to play something that you love, it doesn't matter if it's classical music or something different, you just have to learn how to transpose. It's not that difficult that it seems to be. On YouTube, we grew up in the old era where there was even not internet, maybe even, so we had to combine. But now on YouTube there is absolutely everything. If you don't listen really atypical music, then everything is on YouTube. Everything is on notes, on the tabs, on audio partitures, and everything. Obviously not for a bass guitar or different instrument that you used to play, but you can always transpose it, and it's really not even with your listening pitch, but with programs, with ways how to transpose it. I have never saw the instructor video of transposing, but I can bet with anyone that there are dozens of them on YouTube. For sure.
Yeah.
So you can first go, if you want to make step further, sometimes you have to make step behind. So first learn how to transpose, and if you really love something, that you will do this and you will learn it. If you don't have a time for it, if you search a way why to don't do it, it means you don't really love it. Okay.
Ouch!
What? It's maybe it seems to be radical, but if somebody wants, always will find a way to. If somebody doesn't want, always will find a reason why.
An excuse.
An excuse.
Yeah.
Opinion, there are many people that think that they have some kind of passion, but if they don't put 100% of the heart from them for it, it means that maybe it's not the best way for them.
No.
Or maybe it's just a way for small hobby, one hobby from many.
That actually ties into a conversation that we had before. Nothing to do with bass at dinner, about passion in general and hobbies and how the new generation seems to have less physical hobbies, and it's all concentrated on this tiny little device.
Yeah.
That's interesting how that ties into that. Bass. It's all you need. All the answers. Bass gives you all the answers. Okay, let's see. There's some more questions here. So we had two proposed song titles for your... the second and the third song, you played them as one now. There's two titles. The first one was Dancing, and the second one is The Tap Dana.
Tap Dana. Who's Dana? Is this a woman's name?
Steppen, I think so. I'm not sure if that's like an anecdotal, has something to Steppen. Oh, it's from the tap dana. Maybe it's like a tap dancer.
Okay.
I'm not
Alright.
sure.
I will consider if you have any other ideas, just write it down. I will consider all of them.
Okay. Someone's just making a statement that she imagines tapping be really exhausting for your hands. What do you have to say to that? I would say yes and no.
Once I read the better comment under a video that somebody wrote that my girlfriend has to have nice.
Yeah, true. I heard that too.
Is this? But seriously, it's not painful for hands, I would say.
No.
In my opinion, the more painful for hands is if you are playing metal with four. If you play the whole concert like this. It happens often that I have the holes in my in my hands. In that way, not that much, but obviously it's absolutely different before playing and after playing. It's like before running and after running.
Yeah,
it
is a workout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it costs energy, but for sure it's not a pain.
No, I think also it's a technique that if you spend enough time on also setting up your instrument the way this technique works easier. I was making a comment that I find your strings are actually quite high compared to mine, considering you're tapping all these things. But obviously there's always taste and compromises. However, if your instrument is somewhat of made for tapping, say the strings are kind of low, the neck's kind of flat, and then holding down a note, it really is hardly any more force than I would use to just hold my finger from falling down, just using gravity.
the most common question, if somebody is interested about tapping playing, because we play tapping the most today, it's many people likes this technique, find it really nice, wants to learn, but they must understand. You have to know how to prepare instrument before you will prepare yourself for playing. You have to prepare the instrument, the action of the strings. So action means the distance between strings and the fretboards has to be as low as possible, as small as possible, because if you have old acoustic guitars that there is above the 12th fret 1 centimeter high, it's impossible to play.
But like a double bass.
but you need to feel comfortable to play it. So the sound has to be natural, like tapping on a piano. It's this is the first thing, and the most basic thing. But from the other hand, it can't be too low, because if it will be too low, you will have sound like
dead notes.
Dead note goes.
I had that just before the show because of the weather. My neck was just moving a tiny bit backwards, and right away it's not working anymore. Because
if you have a guitar maker luthier in your somewhere around, then he will.
I've got.
He will
right here.
Okay, I can do it by myself as well with just a few impulse keys, and you can do it by yourself. But if you can't give it to specialists, it costs just really few.
It's always worth it.
But you will make just the first step, like
absolutely
for small money.
That's probably one of the best investments. I've never mentioned that on the show, but that's a very good point.
And not every bass can be good for it, or guitar, because I don't mean too cheap, but mostly cheap guitars or just bad guitars can't be used like this. But most of them nowadays can be used for it, and
you can definitely get a bass that's easy to tap between 200 and 500 euros, no problem.
And people ask often also, how many strings should I have for a beginning? And how do you think? How would you respond it? Because
if it's about tapping only, or about bass in general?
Both.
Yeah, I mean, bass in general, I would say 4, because as we talked about, I've mentioned this a couple of times on the show. 6 strings. It's just I've only got 5 fingers. I can only control 5 strings. I don't know how Gregor does it with 7 strings. A lot of thumb, I guess, or but nevertheless, if it comes to tapping, maybe 4-string is not necessarily the easiest way in, because unless you're just kind of playing cover versions, taps from the internet, or from you bought the songbook from Victor Wooten and just want to tap that, that's totally cool on a 4-string if you don't have to think about it. But if you're making your own arrangements, just 1 extra string gives you so much more freedom in the way you can come up with patterns that work, where you don't have to be an impossible player to get piece of music to work. But it's always a compromise, because you also gotta control this extra swing when you're not playing it, that it doesn't make any weird background noises.
I'm absolutely agree. And in my opinion, I can't answer if 4 strings or more strings. I don't know.
Did you start on a 4-string?
I did.
Yeah, me too.
I did 4, then 5, then 6, then 7. But in my opinion, what is more important before starting playing tapping, if you don't want to be really very rare animal that plays only tapping, absolutely whole life only tapping, if you don't want to be this kind of animal, then try to learn to play normal things. Doesn't matter, 4, 5, 6, doesn't matter. Just try to play the favorite songs you like with just the chords. You will also find the chords on the internet, on YouTube, Google. And then if you will feel the instrument, then you can start very easy things, like bass in 1 note bass, 2nd place, something. To learn yourself that you have to think at the same time about two hands. You know? So this is the main. But first of all, learn something that you really like, but don't start with Dream Theater. Okay, start with, I don't know, with
Dream
Nirvana.
Theater arranged for solo bass.
Yeah. And if you feel that then you can start to make first steps.
If you can bear it, children's songs are always really easy to play on any instrument. if you have an aversion against children's songs, I get it. So play any of the songs. But what I liked about Gregor's example just right now is, but even though the bass note wasn't moving and the melody note, let's call it that, was just moving in seconds, up the scale 2 notes and then down again, right away it sounded of music. And that's, I think, what most people are not aware of with, and that's a nice thing about bass in general, but even with tapping, that with very simple things you can create really nice music. Because this thing just now, what was it? Because it's a strong musical idea that is easy to execute. And that's probably the thing you should actually be looking for. Strong musical ideas that are easy to execute. Because we are always obviously overwhelmed and excited when we see people like Gregor and think, wow, that's a level I'm never going to reach that because I don't have the time to practice it. It doesn't mean you can't do it. You don't have to bring it to that level, but you can still have fun with it and just go.
If you want to astonish people, first start to astonish yourself. And it's from time to time when I learn something new, I play it and I'm shocked that I can play it, and I say no, I didn't thought I could play it. It was, for example, with this with Bourrée from Bach. And so on. It's more complicated because there are 2 melodies at the same time and typical Bach's polyphonic. But when you practice, if you are stubborn, if you do it day by day, slow in the beginning, obviously. Then 1 minute song takes you half year to learn, sometimes, but the result is really worth it.
And I would also reckon that the first song takes you the longest, and then after that you already gained so much technical skills that a lot of the things you kind of recognize, wait, there's this similar movement happening, I can use that same shape again. Awesome, I like this. So much talk about tapping. Let me just check. I think, there's questions. Okay, 2 questions. How fast can you both play? That's obviously a younger.
How fast it means how many notes per minute, per second?
I guess so. And when can you play more music? So, let me just go through the chat, see if I missed any questions. One of my students wants to know what you cleaned your strings with.
I don't get.
What is it?
The question about this, right?
Yeah.
I'm very crazy about such things. It's just a lubricant for strings. It's from Dunlop 65. Which camera see me? That one or that one? Well, I will show it to the both one. It's just but doesn't matter which one. I always buy some different that you can buy. You can buy it in every guitar shop, and you just take something like this, put it a little. I put much more than they suggest. I make something like this, and I put to every strings, or from time to time even every strings like that. And it gives you that the strings, it's a string cleaner actually, so it gives you that your strings are clean, but practically it helps you with playing quick, with the sound is fresh, but also you have much less problems with playing some so you have to wash them. But yeah, that's
It's
what
a
it is.
good dirt.
It's another detail that costs you €5 or $5, but makes you a huge difference, and you don't have to change strings as often as usually.
How often do you change strings?
It all depends how much do I play, or always when I'm gonna record something, then I change into the new one, but not very new one. If I'm gonna record tomorrow, I'm not gonna change strings today, but round about 1 week before.
Oh,
because if you have very really brand new strings, then they are very sharp. They are like you have absolutely no bass with them. You can add it with some knobs, obviously, but they are very how to say it? Not
thin to some degree.
Not fat, not deep, not bass. Different if you play with a metal band or rock band, then right, then sure. But the sounds that I do play has to be more. But it's just my style, so I don't say it's about everybody. It has to be just
more note definition.
Yeah. You can hear that the strings are new, but not very sharp. Before, when I was playing every day, a few hours, when I was a teenager, it was 5 hours a day, and then every month. And obviously it also depends if you put the new strings like Elixir or some Warwick strings for €5. In my opinion, it's better to put every year new Elixir than 20 time strings for €5, because you put them and in the same moment they are shit actually. I don't want to say that some marks are shit, but
no, it's more effort.
But some of them really are.
I mean, apart from the effort and the extra price, it's also that every time you change the strings, depending on how you change the strings, you should actually adjust your neck. You should adjust your intonation.
Yeah. Because
every set of strings is still going to be slightly different, and it's not going to intonate perfectly. And if you have a set of strings that lasts 3-5 times as long as another set of strings, you're sparing yourself a whole lot of stress and
another small detail about strings and tuning, about setting all the guitar after changing strings is if you play with a band where bass is in the background, let's just say, then okay, you have to tune it perfect as possible. But if you play solo bass, where you use very often this part of the fretboard, because with a band you use that. If you play solo, it's very important that this sound and this sound will be exactly the same, because if I have good note here, A sharp, it doesn't mean that it will be same here, and that's in what can help you a luthier, a guitar maker. It's very important. Also, you can do it by yourself to put it, to change this distance here with a screw that sits in here. But if you are not experienced and you're a beginner, better give it to the.
It will take forever, and you'll get a really bad result. But at the same time, if you do it often enough, at some point you won't give it away anymore. So your choice. However, what I wanted to say about the whole setting up, I forgot. But you know what? Since people are asking for music, right? Still, Gregor, you can still play Through the Hope of Madness.
I did not prepare it for today, but I can, right?
Yeah. Okay, and here Frank is writing, hey guys, the right and left channels appear to be swapped. Also the voices are way too low compared to the bass. My left speaker almost blew when Gregor started playing. Oh, that's interesting.
Can you read it? Sorry, one more time. What was the question?
He said that the microphones are swapped. I thought I figured that out. Here on the computer looks perfect actually. When I'm speaking, my side. Maybe it's the streaming service, maybe it's your device, Frank. thanks for the feedback either way. I will look into that and watch the recording, see if it's the same with me. And the voice is not loud enough. That we can change, actually. Should we change that? It's a bit late, but you know what? You're gonna play your second set.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put up the mic a little bit.
Alright.
almost feel sorry to interrupt you. Frank, let us know if the microphones are better now. Turned up the... Oh, man. That was really a trip. And I don't say this very often because with a lot of bands that I see live, I say it's a different experience than listening on a good stereo, but I don't agree that it's necessarily a better experience, because especially if we're talking about metal bands where a lot of technical stuff is going on that just gets lost live because the sound is not as clear and clean. So with that music, sometimes it's nicer to listen to it on stereo. Then again, if I talk to my wife who says metal and you're not live in concert, how silly is that? It's all about the energy and the volume. So if you listen to it on headphones, how much fun can that be? So total different perspectives. Long story. What I really wanted to say is, just sitting here right next to Gregor, I really appreciate you playing this private concert for me.
Thank you.
It's really not at all the same as watching on YouTube, and we're gonna have to get you on stage.
It's always different, you know, different experience if you see the music live than when you see the music on headphones or I don't know, during riding a car. Yeah, for example, I do not like jazz music, but when I listen to live, then it's okay. That it's much more than during listening from the radio. So it's just a...
Yeah, I guess with jazz it's also a little bit special because the main energy or driver of jazz is the improvisation, the spontaneity, and if you're right there with it, and basically even with the reaction of the public can influence what they're doing on stage.
But with this kind of music, when you play only with one instrument, it's also very important to make a good stereo when you record it, because from the one hand it seems to be a very just a one path, just a one okay, there are two different melodies, but one comes from one guitar, one instrument, one path, but you can mix it really good. And one of my idol is maybe too big word, but people that I admire from a solo bass world, it's Jean Bodin, American bass player. He's playing 11, 12 string basses, much more than that one. But when he records his songs, you can feel space. You can feel like there is whole, piano orchestra. There is a bass, there is a melody, there are middles, and it sounds like organs. Like
it's all separate.
Exactly. So it's very important, if there is any of you that can make good mastering, that write to me, because I'm gonna record my album in upcoming months, and those songs that I do play, they are all from my own. There will be 10 of them, and till now there were two guys that tried to do that, but I wasn't very happy of this work. I'm not so this kind of man that says that always it's bad, but it must be somebody that understands this music, feels it. So if there is among of you somebody that can make it, then write to me, please.
I know a guy.
You know, okay.
But Gregor's obviously open to other suggestions.
So you write me first. Yeah.
Okay, you know what? You still got 2 songs to play?
Yeah, 2 more if you like.
Go for it. I would say let's just play them all down.
It will be again, the second one is shorter.
Perfect.
Yeah, what I did not told, I tried to make the album like okay, it's a long story. I will not tell about it. just always the second song is shorter. The first and the third one is longer, and they make something like triple, like it's a whole story, 3 of them.
See, that's also something that happens in classical music.
Vivaldi,
all the time.
Vivaldi, the 4 seasons. There are 12 songs. Each one is about different month, but because there are 4 seasons. The first one is long. Second is also always short and mostly adagio, slow and deep. And the third one is also with a power long. I try to do it by myself as well because I admire very much Vivaldi and his music. So it's kind of like the skeleton is similar.
All right, let's get to it. Here you go. just wrote it in the comments. I know you're a humble guy, you're a bassist, but I just have to say you're absolutely over-delivering here. I know your videos, and when I saw your list with only your own compositions, I didn't listen to all of them, but I was a little bit worried. I was like, he's kind of famous for these classical things. Is it going to be the same if he only plays his own compositions? Can they match up to what people expect after listening to a Mozart competition played on solo bass? And it did.
Yes, but
I really like. I love it even more.
When I started, with YouTube channel, almost 15 years ago, and then I was playing the covers of classical masters, things that I loved, of Metallica as well. I played things that I played, but from other musicians. Then, and it happened something like 8 years ago when I started to play such solos. I stopped to play covers. I started to play my own stuff, and then obviously, naturally, the views fall down. Okay, I understand it. I also like to listen things that I know of the famous composers, but I just thought that it's better to be, the best yourself than the best somebody other. So I changed my my way of playing. That's why people ask me why I do not play anymore the classical music. It's not like that I don't play at all it. But I try to be myself, and then myself I mean to play my own stuff, to make something new in music, not be another cover player. Even if it's crazy cover player because solo bass player. But
let me let me put it for you in words, if I may. I have a feeling that because there's a lot of creation already going into the process of taking a song and arranging it for solo bass, but creating something from nothing is a little bit of another satisfaction that you get out of creating something. It's just okay, in a way, arranging a classical solo piano piece for solo bass is like solving a problem. If you're just writing a song from zero, there's no problem. So it's not really, you have to find a solution, there are confinements. You really get to create and just say, not, this is wrong, this is right. On first go, I did it wrong. Third time, I did it right. No, it's more about, do I like it or don't I like it? There's no wrong or right. It's just about personal taste. And that is it's maybe one of the reasons.
It's always more difficult to be a creator than a copyist, but it pays off. It's worth it, and you can have satisfaction for your own that you make something that you present yourself, not somebody other, and that's what I took, and I don't regret it. I think that's a good way to do it. And as we spoke before, first of all, you have to satisfy yourself, then try to come with it to the people, and it's just enjoyable for me to play. It when you make rehearsal, I would say your own band, one person band rehearsal. You don't fight with anybody if it's good or not. You can fight with yourself. It's also okay. It's also a kind of a struggle. But 100% that you give comes from yourself, and you are responsible for 100%. You are the father of 100% of it, and you eat the fruit 100% by yourself. So when you do rehearsal, it's very good activity, and it's very, you can forget about your staying job, about some problems, some bad things, good things, doesn't matter. There is only yourself, your guitar, your small room when you are rehearsing, and it's, in my opinion, it's a great feeling. Very, I don't want to sound pathetic, but it's kind of spiritual, I mean, it's very it's very enjoyable for your soul, However, it sounds crazy because
And if you're lucky and you get to turn up your volume a little bit, it makes it even better.
Mm.
Like I've been practicing here at nights, just having very low lights on, not just like now, and just playing for hours, and then you come out and it's all dark, and it's almost like there's some electric charge. At least I feel like that. When I play for a really, really long time, just with myself, not taking big breaks, just kind of jamming along, practicing, and then I go outside, that feeling like I'm freshly charged.
This place that you have in here is perfect for playing. Our audience can't see it, but it's just a perfect place, very inspiration-able.
Oh, I
would say, yeah, really great. If you have so many basses in here, it's the first step to be inspiration-able. So, yeah.
No. I'll have to have you over. We're gonna do some things together, especially as you're living so close.
Maybe next time you will come to Venlo, to Netherlands.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Actually, we're going to Netherlands from the 3rd to the 6th. We'll be a little bit north of Den Haag, camping at the beach.
That's okay. To Den Haag, I have 250 kilometers,
exactly.
but I'm gonna also visit my one of my closest friend in Den Haag. So yeah, maybe we'll meet there.
Maybe.
But probably it will be in the fall, in autumn.
No. We'll definitely keep connected. So, I promised you something. Actually, I promised two things. I keep forgetting about one. Let me just go. The chat has been going a bit crazy now. So, I'm just gonna give me a minute. I'm just gonna go through here. Oh, okay. Frank is asking Gregor what strings you use. He missed the beginning. We did talk about your strings, but is it not a standard tuning?
It depends what is standard tuning.
Yeah.
Mostly, if you have 7-string bass, they put the majority of 7-string bass player put low B, then E, A, D, G, C, F.
Yeah.
I put a little bit different, same as you, as I know. You don't use the low B. So this is the E, A, D, G. The four fattest strings are E, A, D, G. So like in a classical bass guitar, and then I have 3 extra thin strings: high C, like in the 5-string bass guitar, high F, and high A sharp. So it's maybe somebody of you could listen during tuning, but it's E, A, D, G, C, F, A sharp. And what can be a little bit strange, those 5 strings are bass strings, E, A, D, G, C, and those 2 are just from guitars at normal guitar. They are if we talk about thinness, it's 180, 60, 40, 30 or 28, 22 and 15.
Okay.
And there is also some kind of secret in here. It's some I don't know if the camera will see it, but
you can
the problem with the strings for such bass guitar is
actually see if I can maybe change the position.
Yeah, you make zoom. The hole that is situated in here. So if you want to make it fast, make it stain, you have to use the bigger wheel, the bigger circle that can be used from a different bass string. So you have to damage 2 strings to use 2 guitar strings.
I use old strings.
But it works. They are stained, they are not losing their tuning, and you have to do this because if you buy, for example, piccolo bass strings, you know they are mostly A, D, G, C or something, so they are still too low for 7-string bass. E, A, D, G, E, no D or D, G, doesn't matter. They are still too low for piccolo strings. Bass piccolo strings are too low for this bass. So you have to use this, but also you can use low B. Then you have, as I told before, B, E, A, D, G, C, F. I use that one because from time to time I use also the lower set, but only for some songs and mostly during live show. I don't play often with a band, with a rock band, with this bass, but if I do, then I use also low B. And then just for one solo, I choose that kind of solo that can be played with a lower strings. And from the other hand, you have low B, so you can play rock, blues, metal things with a band. But it's honestly that such big guitar is not so comfortable for playing with a 2-hour show standing. You can't make hand banging, you can't move so much, you can't dance on the stage.
You can do the Robert Trujillo, just rest it on here.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I used to do with my marionettes on 2-3 hour shows. I need the monitor.
Yeah, we have the same, the similar marionettes. You have Commodus.
Yeah.
I have Victor's. Great instruments also.
Yeah.
Great Polish instruments. But I don't use it for a solo. I need only because I need 7-string bass, not 5. I have also 5-1. So yeah.
All right. So there's 2 more things that we have to get through.
Are there still some questions?
Let me see if there's any questions. Oh, I'm not even through the whole chat. Okay, everybody loved your last song to bits.
The last song was
Speaks to the soul, Jedi Master, beautiful, amazing. It's telling tales with music, without words. It's a masterpiece. And thanks for being yourself, Gregor.
Oh, thank you. That's nice to hear.
I almost guessed right. Ever thought about using a stick? Oh, have you ever thought about using a Chapman stick?
They ask me about it often. No, I did not. I had even proposals to make a deal, change it into the Chapman stick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, somebody was so silly that think that I'm gonna do this deal. No, you know, the problem with Chapman stick, is that Chapman stick has the lowest string in the middle.
Yeah, it's kind of
different
around,
build,
isn't it? It's like a violin.
First of all, I'm a bass player, not Chapman sticker. In Chapman stick, as I know, you can play only tapping technique, and after today you can think I play only tapping, but I do not. It's
not.
Even in those songs, from time to time, I use something typical. Oh, what is it? No, something typical for things for this or. So I use also some normal bass things. First of all, second of all, I use this bass also for playing with a band. And Chapman stick, if you jump from 4-string into the 5-string, from 5 to 6, you always have to change your mindset for the new instrument.
Yeah.
If after 20 years of playing, and it's 22, I started to play in year 2000, so 22 years I playing right now. If after 22 years I would have to start to play instrument that is different build, you keep it like this, the Chapman stick. Looks stupid, be honest. Let's be honest.
Thank you.
It looks stupid. So I'm not gonna do this because I don't feel it, I don't want it, I don't like it, and guitar has to look good, and it doesn't look good. So yeah, what? That's true. But it's a good question. Thanks for this question, because many people ask about it, and I have a respect for. There is a Chapman sticker, Bob Culbertson or Coopson, something like this. He's from US. I don't know if he's very famous, but he's famous on YouTube, and he's playing, for example, Toccata and Fugue from Johann Sebastian Bach.
Oh, okay.
He's fucking awesome. He's
Yeah.
really awesome with playing it. His master, and I admire him, but it's a different musician than me. I'm not gonna do this.
I also have to, in my real live shows, do a lot of talking back and forth with the audience, which hopefully we will at some point be able to do more on this show. And one thing that I always do is I give 3 different definitions of what bass really is. Because bass can be an instrument, like the bass guitar, the double bass, the bass flute. Almost every instrument has a bass version. A lot of people don't know that.
Mhm.
That's where we start. So then there's all these bass instruments all of a sudden. You could make a record with only bass instruments and still get a whole orchestra full of different instruments, basically. Obviously, they're going to fight with each other because they're all playing in the same register. So it's not a clever idea necessarily, but it's possible. Next definition is just the frequency range. From how low to how high does the bass go? And the definition, scientific definition of bass frequency is from as low as you can go, obviously, up to 256 hertz, around there. Which is pretty much about, on the G strings, somewhere around the 24th fret. So it's basically covering the whole bass instrument, if it's not a 7, 5, 6 string. You literally, the bass frequency is that top note is still a bass note. And that's what a lot of people completely ignore when they say, oh, the money notes are down here, the first 7 strings, that's where you make your money with. And that is true. Generally, music that is paid for is played down there on the bass in a band context. But as you can see, playing functional bass and just looking at the definition of what is all bass, already 2 different things. And then we have the phenomenon of bass in nature. And I really like to bring this up in my shows because...
you mean the voice?
No, that's not bassy enough for me. I mean, obviously there it is too, but I'm thinking of thunderstorms, earthquakes,
Okay.
black holes, these really, really deep sounds. And what do all these sounds have in common? Super energetic, very, very high impactful, but they also stress us out. So I'm thinking, totally pulling this out of my behind, but I'm thinking maybe the instrument bass is exactly in this register where it's impactful to be exciting, but not so impactful that it's stressful and making you scared, like a thunderstorm or an earthquake would. But it definitely has that impact, and you can absolutely hear it when you hear a live band play, and then the bass speaker blows, and all of a sudden you only get instead of when the bass frequency is gone, even from the drum kit, it just loses all its energy. So
do you know what basso profondo is? Basso profondo is a kind of singing. It's a name of the frequency of a man's voice that is lower than bass.
okay.
So there are bass singers in opera, and basso profondo are guys who are singing even 1 octave lower than the average bass. And they are mostly, if you want to see them, they are mostly on YouTube. They are not on YouTube, but on YouTube you can see this is Orthodox pops that sings it. Russian pops. Russia is recent months not so popular, but if you want, you can watch them, and it's really, I would say, scary, but very interesting how human voice low can be. It's really low, because even if we would have low B string in here, they singing, and it's not just screaming. It's singing the full melody much lower than 1 octave lower than this E string. Interesting thing, maybe not exactly about the bass guitar, but about bass as a bass. Yeah.
Well, they should make a T-shirt. All you need is voice, and then they can ask me to patent the idea, and I get rich from it, and pay all my bass fellows. Maybe that's gonna be our plan for the future.
Maybe right.
Yeah, but no, I had absolutely no idea. I mean, I know there's very low voices, but deeper than a B string, that is... I hardly get to the low G on an E string.
But it's not always like this, that bass instruments, like bass guitar or double bass plays in orchestra very... the lowest voices. Obviously, it's created for it.
Yeah.
But when you check, especially Mozart songs, Queen of the Night area or Dies Irae, the things from Requiem, the bass, it was composed 250 years ago, but the bass line is just absolutely astonishing. It's amazing how many things happens, how often he changes scale, and what bass do. You know, there are many things that today people are not composing the bass line like it's the start of Dies Irae. And you can learn much more about playing bass, not even the solo bass, but if you want to shred on bass, if you want to play something like Dream Theater or something from progressive rock, check out the Mozart pieces, the bass line of Mozart pieces, and you don't have to love this music. I know it's something different that mostly metal heads doesn't find it as their music. But you can don't be close. If you are a metal lover, don't close only to the metal. Just listen all the styles of music, or all styles that are good, I may say, and you can learn much more about them, and you can use it in your own music. Many great bands like Queen, you know, that they were playing what they were playing, but they were taking from different styles of music, you know, different things. So it's worth it, in my opinion. Don't close yourself in. If you are playing solo bass guitar, don't think only about solo bass guitar or other solo bass guitarist. Listen classical music, metal, whatever you like. Even stupid tunes from the advertisement in TV. Everything can make you some kind of inspiration. So
soundtracks are also great.
Yeah.
And if you like soundtracks on solo bass, Xander Zon on YouTube, he's got that covered.
Did you spoke with him as well?
Not yet. I've got Tommy is in contact with him because he already did a YouTube as well. So I'm hoping to get him on the show at some point.
I spoke with him via Messenger once, and I admire him. He's a great bass player, really great.
Tommy also told me that he's super busy with his new job and family and everything, just like us. Moment the family comes, life's just not the same.
Game over. Yeah.
And the game starts as well. So I think all questions are answered. Should we do a little outro jam for everyone?
Let's try. Sure.
Yeah. Maybe one more time, wrap it all up. So we've covered a lot of things. We also did not talk about a lot of things. So feel free to where you do you have like an email address, or where you're most present on social media? People want to reach out.
You know,
ask questions.
you can find me on YouTube. I have my own channel, but also
on YouTube we can't contact you other than in the comments.
Right. But there is a Facebook site, and in description there is a mail to me, I suppose.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Or you can send a message via Facebook site. So if you have some questions, some things that you want to share, then write to me. And
and subscribe so you definitely don't miss his record when it's coming out.
And all the news that happens are on Facebook. And but I don't have external, you know, the site of mine. You know.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we're trying to play something, right?
Yeah, we're just making something up as we go.
Okay, but our audience has to know that we never played together.
No, we haven't.
So it will be really just for a case I will prepare a pick. But okay, it's a profanation of bass guitar. It's a pick, but from time to time useful. Okay, who starts?
Okay, I'll start with a little thing. it's getting quite hot. And that's the one disadvantage of this nice bass. It's acoustically treated and it heats up and it doesn't cool down. So another reason we're gonna not go on for too long now. So should I tell you the key or are you gonna hear it?
No, just play something. We'll try to find.
Man.
Thank you very much.
That was even more fun than the sound check.
Yeah.
Took a little while to get in there, but
after a few times we will be better. But it's very enjoyable to play with. Something that somebody may say that two bass guitar is. You know what Chopin told about the guitar?
No.
What is better than one guitar? Two guitars. So maybe there's something about it.
What's better than two guitars?
Three?
Two bass guitars.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I hear a lot of people. Obviously, a lot of them are musicians, but just going crazy about the quality of how a chord sounds on a bass compared to the guitar, and even if it's like simple chords, it just has this that you don't get with the guitar.
It's in my opinion, it's nice to experiment with chords, because when you're playing solo bass, you can use the normal chords, but if you put something like it gives you always the in place of, and if you place it with tapping, it's different than. They're both okay, but the same chord. I mean the same. It's normal. It's 9 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's 9.
But you make, or you can play it also like. There you play with one hand. You play chord here.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
And the second one you play basses.
Are you thinking of this one as the root, or as
always?
so, no?
I always do that.
1, 5, 7.
those two fingers plays the dominant.
Ah, okay.
So if it's G, it's G, and others plays.
That's, for example, one thing that I shied away from when I was composing solo bass songs is playing two notes or one note twice, even if it's a different octave at the same time. I always try to avoid that, and only lately when I was arranging now those mostly pop songs, I realized how often they use octaves, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to use octaves as nothing else. But then I noticed how beautiful they are.
In piano, each sound is different in piano. They are not two the same. They are octaves, but not two the same. In guitar, you have. And sound, I was playing in one song, it was. And check this song. And the same note, exactly the same high, but it's a guitar string and bass string.
Exactly.
So there are, in some ways, more possibilities with a bass guitar than even piano.
But also more decisions to make.
And there comes also some kind of articulation that we didn't spoke before. On a piano, obviously you can articulate many things, but you can't do. That make you a small vibrato or something. And in piano, the keyboard players can with. But but it's not this sort of music that we talk about. Yeah.
No, exactly. It's just one step beyond the cembalo, where you couldn't even change the volume of each note played.
Yeah.
Okay. I think if there's no.
I will add one thing more about that we didn't told before. That when you compose something for or just improvise on a solo instrument, doesn't matter if it's bass guitar, can be some different one, but okay, now we are sitting with bass guitar. It's important to make all or not all, but few and in some ways all of the parts together. So it means there has to be basses, there has to be melody, sometimes second melody, middles, and so on. And how to do it with two hands, just a four melody? It's possible, because for example, as I played this hand it gives the first melody. Then another finger can make second melody. And this finger is free, so can. So we have four of them, or more. It's that was with octaves, but you can play in terces. So you can play. But you can make second melody with.
I saw you do that.
And this hand from time can play. But can play. So it's very important. It's nice that the song is full. If not only you play like we spoke before that Bach. Okay, it has some. It's typical polyphonic for two melodies, but if you want to add something, you have to combine it. And this is beautiful in solo bass that you can combine it. You can. Even if on the whole phrase there is only one note, it gives you the one more melody together and gives you space. Worth to try, in my opinion.
Question for you, talking about songwriting or generally arranging. I had this really weird moment when I was recording my album, which didn't happen on the first album, but it happened on this album. I was arranging in total 4 songs without loop station, and with at least one of them you kind of come up with your parts and hear, okay, there's a melody, there's a bass line, these are the chords, how can I put them all into one piece, and you come up with a solution. But when I play it, obviously because I play it all at the same time, it's always one voice that has just many voices. So it's like one thing. It's one. But the moment I listen to it, all of a sudden I hear those different voices again. And that was for me such a weird experience that I didn't hear it when I play it. The moment I listened to it, the voices kind of separated again. Did you ever have that with your...
Sure, and it's very enjoyable that sometimes you make something very, very naturally, and what comes, you didn't even expect it. That there comes the melodies that you don't want them to play, but you see the selective other melodies. It's like... if you learn to improvise with left hand is very important in bass soloing because it's bass hand. So you can play just... When you're a beginner, you play... And then with the time comes that... You don't have to register it. You just program this hand. You have to improvise, and let's say in first part slower than deeper, and this hand is responsible for melody with one note of two notes of three notes from time to time as well. So there comes a melody that was not planned about me. But it comes during playing, and it comes very natural. It's very nice. When I want to play it slow, that's from time to time it's impossible. It's strange, but sometimes you can't play something slow. But you can fast. That's it.
I like that. Okay, so let's see. Sure to live is to die, please. Giveaway. Oh, the giveaway! And they want to play us to play another jam. Oh, and Yarik is asking, to live is to die, please.
To live is to die. That's
Is that a song of yours?
That's a song of Metallica.
Oh.
From Injustice for All album, there is a, the early Metallica had very pathetical songs, like Orion, for example, the famous middle part. And one of them was To Live Is To Die, the last song with Cliff Burton. It was posthumous after his death, but there was some part, and it's also some famous of my videos where I play the three Metallica members just a tapping, because it's a bass, it's a Kirk Hammett, and it's James Hetfield. So it's like, I haven't been playing it for a long time, but it's something like. So it can be also really enjoyable if you try to play many melodies covers that you love with just with one bass. You can very nicely can learn tapping with playing those things that are very popular, and you can try to challenge yourself to try to play it. Very nice practice for tapping. Really nice.
You've mentioned something just on the side, kind of in between, which I want to go back to. Because you were just saying, in the beginning you just start on the root note and play that in quarter notes, eighth notes, whatever, and then later you play the full chord. Think about what else can you play. But then you kind of sneakily put in, that just happens automatically. And for someone who can't do this already, this is nonsense. It makes no sense. But I have to tell you that Gregor's absolutely right. I've never noticed that it actually was the same with tapping like that with me. But where I did notice it was walking bass. Because I was practicing these really easy walking bass patterns for these really standard tunes in jazz. And it was not this gradual building up of the skill. It was hassling. It was no fun. It was absolute 100% focus, or I would know where I was in the song and had to start over to find the right chords and the right notes again. But then, almost from one day to the other, it was just click, and I could watch my hand.
It comes automatically. Absolutely right. That you train, you practice something, you make exercise every day, and you don't know what is the time. In my opinion, I'm not really sure of it, but in my opinion, sometimes it comes even if you have no instruments, because it happens not in your hand but in your head. That you can't connect two hands together, but there just comes a time that you can. The same with swimming. You can swim. And one day you just something happens that you know how to push your body into the
right
water.
Position,
right
bike riding.
And if somebody asks how to begin, because there are beginners, try to play with metronome or without, something very easy like even two notes together, and one hand, change one hand. And so on later. Then up the second melody. And so on. It everything comes with exercise. Yeah, it's just.
I find often it is what is the most effective thing that we all underestimate is pushing through and keep. If you have a practicing routine and let's say it's 10 minutes a day, or 10 minutes every third day, it doesn't matter what it is. To say when you start out and you play a riff that in the last session worked well on the original tempo, and today it's just like, I can't do it. It happens. So just find your top shape of what you can play that day. It's not about being better than you were yesterday. That's ideal, but that's not always the reality. So sometimes you just gotta say, okay, today I'm not in shape. I'm just gonna play at the top of my of what I can actually deliver today. Instead of just saying, oh well, I'm in bad shape, so it's not worth it practicing. No, it is worth it practicing. Just lower the bar and you get the same benefit as if you would practice on that if you were in good shape, because it's really about repetition at the top of your game, I would say.
Agree, right. That's true.
Okay, someone likes the music. I think we have to, there's various questions about, are we gonna play another song?
Let's try.
Let's try. Okay, so let me just delete all these loops here. Why don't you play this off? Start this one. Actually, I'm gonna switch off the mic again. microphone back on. So I was just saying, it's 27 degrees Celsius in here, and it's been so much fun with you guys. Thank you for asking your questions. Last thing we still haven't done is the strings giveaway, and what I want to do this time is how can we do this? I want you guys. Oh wait, there's one more question. Let me just check. No, those are all questions. All good. Nice, great duo. How often did you play? Jarek, I'm not quite sure what your question is. How often did you...
Jarek. Oh, it's my friend.
Play daily, or how often did you play?
In my opinion, how often do you play a day?
On a daily basis, maybe. Is this about practicing, or?
How often do you play? Well, when I was younger, I was playing every day, 4 or 5 hours. There was few years of really big exercising, practicing day by day. Sickness, not sickness, every day.
How much do you practice now?
I do not. I don't say that. I'm not practicing right now. I just play. I'm sitting when I have time, and I just improvise. I play. 5% I record, but mostly 95% I just sit like we are sitting right now, and I improvise. I play. I search for some new riffs, new things. This is the most enjoyable. Just playing.
Yeah.
Not making photos with bass, not searching the equipment on the net. It's also important. I'm not saying not, but in my opinion, the people are too much talking about equipment, guitars, humbuckers. To be honest, it's very important, but the most important in music is music, not the ways, not the because if we want to be musicians, not luthiers, right?
Yeah. I think also the moment you give gear such a big importance, you start to rely on your gear to make the music for you. And forcing yourself to, for example, even though you really want a 5-string, start out with a 4-string Fender.
This is the Fender you took.
Yeah. Okay. This is exactly the way to kind of first of all find your own voice, because you're not just trying to copy someone and actually have the ability, because you've got all the same gear, still not the same fingers, still not the same ideas. But yes, really, I have this discussion a lot lately with my wife and parents of my kids' friends. It's about this whole thing that boredom and struggle is actually something positive, and we should not take that away from our kids. If they're bored, awesome, you're bored. This is your chance to train creativity. Come up with something that you enjoy doing. Go for it. No, you're not allowed to watch. That's not creative now. And to some degree, you have the same limitations if you don't have the exact same instrument. For example, a little bit of a different story, but almost the same. Probably all of you guys know Victor Wooten. Probably all of you know the song called Me and My Bass Guitar. I played that on bass, and then when I finally found the transcriptions, there was this one chord that my fingers are just too short. I can grab 2 of these notes, but he also plays this one. And I just... maybe...
Further than
I break my finger!
Further than a 7th fret, right?
Yeah, 3rd, and then this one here. It's a really nice chord. It's
tapping solves it.
Exactly. But I can't just tap this one chord and then strum the others, because there is this whole... how's it go? I don't way,
it comes from Victor Wooten.
Yeah.
Right.
Either way, this chord. So I had to find a solution because I was not gonna just not play the song because I can't play one single chord. So I thought, okay, yeah, the 6 here sounds really great. I like this sound. I don't want to get rid of that. But without that top note, compared to the next chord I play, it just kind of sounds too thin. So I gotta have these 3 notes. So I can't as well fret this one. How about instead of the 6, I play the 3rd. So it's a little bit
if
low
you play something
for
like this, you can play it also here.
Exactly. That's what I decided. I kind of went with, I'll take the 6 over the 7, but I keep the 3rd. And I was like, something along the lines. And that worked. And it's my own version, and I've learned something. So, bad gear, it's good for you. Bad gear is really, really good for you. To some degree. Other than that...
I don't know how about you, but I think we can sit and talk hours, about some
we
things.
can,
that
exactly.
The people doesn't know, but we started at 3 hours before our
Yeah,
meeting today, and,
exactly.
and it wasn't three hours of silence. But,
No, not at all. Although we're bassists and we're humble, we don't talk a lot.
yeah.
But
But there are many topics about music, not only about bass guitar, but music as music, and you can make actually it's a deep topic. You can make full TV about it, and the topic never ends.
no.
I do have also some friends, musical friends, and I mean people with which I play, and there are always topics to talk. It's never boring. No matter how many hours you are sitting with those people, there are always something to talk about.
That's why it's really hard. Like when I dreamt up this show, I was always thinking of how are we gonna do this in 90 minutes show.
What's the time right now?
10:30. We did
Okay.
2.5 hours. You guys, thank you so much. We're gonna do a really quick version of the giveaway. So, first one who's gonna I don't want to give Jarek the absolute advantage because he knows your song titles. So okay, you gotta write down in the chat.
Jarek is one of those friends, by the way. I greet him. Hi, Jarek. I greet you.
How are we gonna do this? Oh, this is gonna be hard. See, you need to get on Spotify so people can research your songs.
If I will record it officially, not on YouTube version, that sure.
We'll stay in contact about that. I want that album to come out.
Okay, great.
Just as much as I want mine to come out. Okay, so guys, we're doing it really simple. Just name 3 songs that you know are going to be on my next all solo bass cover version albums. I almost played all the songs here at least once on the show. Today I didn't. Next time, very important as well, next month, summer break. So go on holidays, enjoy the sun, have some fun. In August we'll come back with a very special edition. I'll have a bass and voice duo as a guest from Italy. And what I love the most, the bass players playing my bass, Marushchik Sputnik, so I had to invite him. And I'll probably play some songs of my record there.
Are you gonna invite Adrian here, Marushchik?
No, and it's not Adrian. It's Kevin, Reginald. I'm not sure. Reginald, was that your last name? Well, I think he's not on the show, so I can just stick with Kevin.
Okay.
He's got beautiful singer, and they do some really, really great arrangements. So they're gonna come in, and then that's it. Just pop a couple of song names in the chat. First one to it gets a set of strings. Oh yeah, and now I've got new options. Adrian convinced me that possibly, just possibly, not every one of you is a solo bassist and not everyone can make use of the C string. So now, if you're the lucky winner, you get to pick either what Adrian considers the best, at least that he makes, set of 4 strings for a standard 4-string bass, or you get my original signature set with the C string. You get to pick. But all that we do via email. Now you just put in those songs. I leave the chat open. We're gonna sign out because it's late, it's hot, and we've got a lot to talk about. Alright guys, thanks so much. See you again in August. Check out mishamarks.com for watching replays. Check out mishamarksshop.com to support what I do, support my music, support the solo bass community, because what we're building here is a network of solo bassists. So you get to hear more solo bassists and solo bassists get to play more music. Win-win situation, right? That's it for tonight. Thank you all for showing up. Talk to you soon. Bye bye, love and bass.
Bye.
Oh no, I didn't save any loops. Let me just pick one here. Which one? Yeah, we're gonna do the outro like this.